Chapter 17. Fu An Apartments. From a stranger's perspective, Wang Qi might have appeared to be too insistent in chasing the newcomer away. Therefore, Chen Ge did not promise the man anything. If anything, after listening to Wang Qi's story, he had a sneaking suspicion that the man was hiding something. "I've told you everything I know, and there's still time to leave. When the clock strikes 12, the apartment will turn into something else." After saying that, Wang Qi brushed the dust away from his clothes and turned to leave. It was not until Wang Qi's shadow disappeared among the darkness of the night that Chen Ge came to. His original intention was to obtain more information from the tenants about the building, but now he ended up with more question than answers. That man sure is a curious character, but I can't tell whether he's crazy or not. Recalling Wang Qi's pair of cloudy eyes that had not focused once throughout their conversation, Chen Ge felt uncomfortable. The pain and tiredness in the man's eyes could not be faked, but it does seem like he loves his fiancée dearly. As Chen Ge went back to his room, he paused when he passed the woman's room on the first floor. He hesitated before knocking on the room. "Hey, fresh blood." The woman's room door remained unmoved, but to Chen Ge's surprise, the door to the room directly opposite from hers fell open. A lanky man was leaning against the open door. He looked to be in his 30s, and the man's appearance was very unkempt. His beard was almost joined to his hair, and the back of his hand had a tattoo of a peony. "And you are?" Chen Ge turned around with alarm. "The man who was spreading the missing person notice around is not even a tenant of this building. There's something wrong about him up here." The thin man pointed at his temple. "Don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth, and try not to get too close to him." It was the first time Chen Ge had seen this man, and even though the man's appearance left much to be desired, the man's mannerisms were the most normal of all the characters he had met at the apartment. The man's actions sure are weird, but perhaps that is because he was too devastated from the loss of his fiancée. "Did he tell you his fiancée disappeared around this apartment?" "Yes." "Did he tell you he received that information from the police, and that's why he has been searching for her here?" "Yes." The man chuckled mirthlessly before saying, "I've lived here for 9 months already, and I've seen no trace of the police coming here. The madman is lying to you. I'm sure you don't believe his talk of ghosts, right?" He pulled out a cigarette to dangle on his lips. "There are no ghosts in this world. At most, it's someone pretending to be a ghost. In any case, it's getting late, so you'd better return to your room." Chen Ge thanked the man and turned to leave. As he wandered up the steps, he thought to himself, obviously, one of them is lying, but which is it? Lost in his thoughts, Chen Ge did not realize he had walked up to the 3rd floor. The faded number was printed on the corner of the wall, and the voice-activated light above his head flickered on and off. Chen Ge looked down the long corridor and realized this whole floor was in a state of complete disrepair. The floor was thick with grime, and there were signs of burning everywhere. The coating of the wall was peeling off like skin, and underneath it were lines that looked like thick cuts. Why have they left the 3rd floor unfixed? Not enough budget, or is there a more sinister reason? The voice-activated light soon went off, and Chen Ge was submerged in a world of darkness. Due to his work at the haunted house, Chen Ge was used to working in the darkness. The sudden blindness did not unhinge him. He pulled out his phone and was about to turn the flashlight on when he spotted a shadow dash past the darkened corridor. "Who's there?" The flashlight on the phone lit up the 3rd floor, but the shadow was nowhere to be seen. Chen Ge was about to investigate further when he heard footsteps coming up from further down the stairs. It's the landlord? If he was spotted by the easily irked landlord loitering on 3rd floor, he might get chased off the premises. Chen Ge thought about it, pocketed his phone, and stealthily retreated down to the 2nd floor. When he turned the corner on the stairwell, Chen Ge saw a rotund and short man coming out of a room on the 2nd floor holding a basin. The man was humming a happy tune, but when he saw Chen Ge, his face fell, and he immediately ran away from the scene. What is the meaning of that? Do I look that scary? After returning to his room, Chen Ge lay in bed, hugging his backpack. It feels like there's no normal individual in this apartment. Every single one of them could be the party responsible for the murders. When those words rolled off his tongue, Chen Ge suddenly sat up in bed. Wait a minute. The mission told me to find the party responsible for the murders, but the term party can be both singular and plural. In that case, could there be more than one murderer? After all, if there is more than one murder, the chances of multiple murderers will drastically increase. I need to get more information on that case from years ago. Chen Ge pulled out his phone. His conversation with Wang Qi was not for nothing. He now had the important information that before it was called Ping An Apartments, this place was called Fuan Apartments. He keyed in Zhujiang Fuan Apartments in the search box, and several pages later, numerous spine-chilling headlines jumped out at him. A family of 4 brutally murdered. The murderer has disappeared into thin air. Accident or homicide? The truth of the fire that razed Fuan Apartments. Case within a case, bodies hidden inside the building unearthed. Reading through the information on Fuan Apartments, Chen Ge felt his skin chilled. This was not fiction. They happened in real life, and he was currently living at the crime scene. 5 years ago, a neighbor saw the smog rising from Fuan Apartments, so he called the fire brigade. The firefighters soon put out the fire and started to investigate the source of the fire, as well as gauge the extent of damage. Initially, they thought this was going to be another accidental fire case, but as the investigation continued, more curious evidence started to surface. The cement walls were cracked, the surface of cracked window was small, and the smog blackened the ceiling. These were all signs that the temperature of the fire was high and it spread very fast. There were several possible initial locations found at the building, and they were all far apart from each other, quintessential of an arson case. Therefore, the nature of the investigation changed. After the police stepped in, they soon discovered 4 burnt bodies among the ruin of the fire. They believed these were the bodies of the family of 4 who operated the rental apartment. This case created quite a buzz at the time. The police tried their best to solve the case, but the fire had destroyed most of the evidence. They combed the place but could not locate the evidence of a 5th person, much less catch the culprit. The apartment was sealed for a whole year, after which ownership of the estate was passed on to the owner's father, and it was then that Fuan Apartments changed to Ping An Apartments. The family of 4 was burned to the death, and the culprit still hasn't been caught. No wonder people say this place is haunted. After knowing more about the case, Chen Ge felt slightly more grounded because at least he knew what he was dealing with. A curious detail on the reports stuck out at him. The articles all confirmed that at the time of passing, the owner was already 41 years old. The apartment was later passed on to his father, and theoretically and logically speaking, the real current owner of this place should be in his 60s or 70s already. Chapter 18. Livestream. There was only one person who fit the criteria. The old man sharing the room with the landlord. This is weird. According to the news articles, the owner should be an old man, but the landlord who received me is at most middle-aged. Chen Ge stood up to press his ear to the wall. The television on the other side of the wall was still blaring. Currently, it was playing some random commercial. Normally, wouldn't the viewer switch the channel during commercials? But they've been watching the commercials for several minutes already. Chen Ge tried to lean closer into the wall. Perhaps I've missed something. He cleared his mind and tried to rearrange all the clues he had so far. After I entered the room, I heard the sound of a plate shattering next door. Then the landlord started to curse and scold the old man. It continued until the volume of the television was raised. Since the old man was incapacitated, it had to be the landlord who increased the television volume. But the question is, why? Chen Ge narrowed his eyes as a speculation appeared in his mind. Is the landlord ill-treating the old man? The television noise is to cover up the sound of assault? The more he thought about it, the more possible it sounded in his mind. The shattering plate occurred the moment I moved in. Isn't that too much of a coincidence? Could that have been an SOS signal from the old man? After all, it was merely a broken plate. There's no reason for the landlord to get so angered. Perhaps he was afraid that the sound might have attracted my unwanted attention. But why should he be afraid? And why would the old man call for help? Suddenly, another detail that seemed unimportant to Chen Ge earlier entered in his mind. When the landlord was scolding the old man, he let slip several foreign curses. The family that passed away were all locals, But this landlord is not from Zhujiang. He shouldn't be blood-related to the old man or his family. Normally speaking, the man wouldn't leave his assets to be taken care of by a stranger. Unless the limping man has taken over this place and is holding the old man captive. If that's really the case, either he's a caretaker who got too greedy or he's the actual murderer. Either way, it did not bode well for Chen Ge. Chen Ge's fists tightened. That also explains why he was eavesdropping at my door earlier. He wanted to find out how much I've learned. Chen Ge's forehead was sweaty from all the thinking. After all, he wasn't a real detective. All he had were references to plots that he had seen on television before. What should I do now? Rush directly into the room next door to whack the landlord until he faints? No, that's too rash. If my speculation is wrong, that'll land me in hot water. With the mallet in his hand and the penknife stuck in his pocket, Chen Ge paced around the room. Give the landlord a test to confirm his identity? No, that's too risky. What if I tip my hand too soon? After all, he might have other accomplices, and I'm here all alone. If I'm targeted, my life will be in danger. Furthermore, I don't really have any real proof. Everything is just speculation. Also, I'm pretty sure the main purpose I'm here is to find the murderer from 4 years ago, so maybe I should focus on that instead. Chen Ge was caught in a conundrum. Suddenly, the television next door was switched off, and the place became eerily quiet. What's going on? He opened the door slightly and lowered himself to the ground. He peeked out at the door next to him. There was no light coming out from underneath the door. Sleeping at 8 p.m.? Chen Ge crawled to the landlord's room door holding the mallet. In an out-of-body moment, he realized how suspicious he must have looked then. He turned around to make sure no one was watching him before pocketing the mallet and crawling back to his room. Then again, my speculation might not be 100% accurate, if only I had a professional to help me with the analysis. Chen Ge lay in bed and pulled out his phone. In his contact list, other than Shu Wan, he had not spoken to many of the others before. Jesus Christ, I sure am loyal. Chen Ge thought about it. Among the people that he knew, the only person who was slightly related to investigation was the young man who had fainted inside his haunted house. He San. In any case, a medical student should be better at logic and analysis than I am. He entered the video sharing app and realized he had about 20 private messages. He clicked open a random one and saw it was a personal message from a studio that was based on the website. The person expressed interest in having him join the team. Is this person some kind of talent scout? Chen Ge did not have time to deal with that right then. He scrolled through the many messages to look for He-san's ID and tossed the invitation out of his mind. However, several minutes later, the studio sent him another message. You there? We've seen your video. It has plenty of potential. We were wondering if you would like to cooperate with us. We can contact the top streamers of our platform on your behalf to help increase your popularity and exposure. Doing this alone is going to be very difficult. After all, most streamers on the net rely on teams and networking. This is a very good offer, so do consider it. You there? The endless pop-ups annoyed Chen Ge. He was busy trying to survive a night in the apartment that housed a murderer who had killed 4 individuals in cold blood 4 years ago, and these people were busy trying to sell him their service. He finally replied, AFK. Young man, you sure are funny. Give our studio serious consideration. You don't need to do anything beyond adding our studio's logo to your videos. In return, we will provide you with better exposure to help you gain viewership. I'm sorry, but I'm currently not interested in something like that. Chen Ge felt his reply was polite already. If this was someone else, they probably would have cursed the person out before blacklisting the studio. Your short video has the possibility to go viral, but you have to understand that it is just a possibility. A platform like this has an average of 1,000 uploads each day, and you're just one of the more lucky ones. Nowadays, people are in for fast food entertainment. They don't have the patience to wait. Every moment, there are fresh and more exciting things to pull their attention away. If you don't carefully manage your business, your video will soon be submerged by a sea of fresh attractions. Talk about it later. I'm currently busy with something important. Chen Ge finally found He-san's ID. What is more important than earning money? If you are still hesitating, perhaps we can have some other form of cooperation. For example, we're more than willing to offer good money to buy your content and video shooting technique. Chen Ge was irked, so he blacklisted the individual and messaged He-san. To his surprise, He-san replied within a few seconds. "Boss, I've been waiting for you to release a new video." "Wait a minute. I have a more important question to ask you." After getting He-san's phone number, he called the young man and explained the whole situation to him in a whispered tone. Chapter 19. Rising Popularity. Afraid that the landlord next door might overhear him, Chen Ge lowered his voice to a whisper which created an unintended tense atmosphere. After he was done on the other end of the phone, He-san was stunned. This honest young man who just came to the city from the countryside to attend medical school did not expect his first conversation with an online friend to be so freaking exciting. "You're currently at that cursed apartment?" "Yes." "And the landlord next door might be the killer from several years ago?" "Yes." "Wait a minute. This is too much for me to process at once. Let me think about it first." This created an interesting contrast between the situations on both sides of the phone. One was wrapped in his warm blanket, chewing on KFC, watching some online videos, while the other was caught in a haunted apartment, heavy with gloom and anguish. "Boss, I still think you should report this to the police. Granted, you don't have any actual proof, but compared to the offense of making a fake report, your life is more important." He-san was merely looking out for him, but Chen Ge had his own consideration. This murder by midnight was a mission given to him by the Black Phone. He had to stay there overnight for the mission to be a success. Interference from the police would most likely ruin his mission. Since it involved the unlocking of a new scenario, surrendering just like that felt like a great waste. "It's still not yet time to involve the police. Mainly it's your safety that you should be concerned about. Boss, how about this?" He-san paused before adding, "Turn on your phone's GPS triangulation and try to keep your phone on throughout the night. I'll pay attention to the sounds from your side, and if there's anything weird, I'll call the police immediately." That was not a bad idea. Chen Ge looked at his phone. He still had not exited the video sharing app, and there was an advertisement for a mukbang stream going on. Suddenly, an idea came into Chen Ge's mind. "Why don't I open a live stream at the haunted apartment? If anything dangerous happens to me, the viewers will be able to help me alert the police, and the recording of the live stream will be the best evidence. Of course, I hope for everything to go well, and with this method, I'll be able to attract more viewers to my page and thus advertise my haunted house." The short video from last night had brought Chen Ge about 1,000 new followers, and consequently, the number of visitors at his haunted house the next day had doubled. This was a workable method. Furthermore, the ultimate goal of him entering the haunted apartment was to earn the mission reward to improve his haunted house. If starting a live stream was able to ensure his safety while he was conducting his mission as well as increase his popularity and viewership, then why not? Even though I don't have the budget to advertise my stuff all over the place, I can rely on live streams and short videos to attract people's attention. What Chen Ge was lacking in were platform, channels, and experience. In terms of content, he was not at all worried. Even though the personnel from the studio earlier was annoying, they were right. Modern entertainment was about instant gratification. What could be more exciting and intense than an overnight stay at a haunted apartment and a possible tussle with a crazed murderer? Viewership followed content, and compared to other streamers, Chen Ge had a unique leg up. All of his content and the stuff that he experienced was all real. There was no plot or script, and even he had no idea what might happen next. In a way, the live stream was merely a recording of him completing the mission dispensed by the Black Phone. "He-san, I'm ending the call. Come directly to my live stream. The stream's ID will be similar to the ID on my personal page." After hanging up, Chen Ge turned on his phone's triangulation system and set 991 as his quick dial. After everything was done, he selected the live stream option on the video sharing app. Videos nowadays were normally only several 10 seconds long, meaning they were hard to monetize. Therefore, to improve fan loyalty and more directly monetize follower numbers, most streams would live stream when they were not preparing to release a new video. Since short videos were easily shared, they could be used to attract the attention of random viewers. Then, with live streams, those viewers could be turned into followers if the streamer's content was interesting enough. Incidentally, Chen Ge had stumbled across the most correct way of establishing one's online brand. Overnight at a haunted house, your host, an intrepid explorer. exposing the parts of the world that are normally hidden from sight. Chen Ge used several exclamation marks in his title to separate his live stream from others. To be honest, though, he need not have done that. The live stream function attached to the video sharing app was ultimately different from a streaming website. The categorization was limited and mostly involved talking to scantily dressed girls. Chen Ge's live stream was like a pile of cow dung amid a bed of roses. It was incredibly hard for him to not get noticed. After opening the live stream, his fans that followed him would be notified, and similarly, there would be an announcement at his profile page. In less than few seconds, the first batch of viewers arrived. He-san was the first to message. "Boss, you're serious? You're really going to live stream this?" Death to All Men posted, "You're the creep who uploaded that video yesterday night? Good, because I'm here to claim your life." "Fuck. Sis, what happened to you? Calm down, maybe we can talk this out." Creep host subbed, posted I'm a little green worm. "Any subs know what the content of this stream is? Do you not know how to read? The title is right there." The moment Chen Ge began the live stream, those who were waiting for his video showed themselves, and the viewership of his room slowly climbed. "Guys, I think there's a misunderstanding." Chen Ge put his mallet away and turned to the camera seriously. "The video from last night wasn't a joke. I experienced it myself. You can go look for the full video on supernatural forums if you do not believe me. The footage has not been tempered. The thing in the mirror is real. I know that is hard to believe, but if you follow me, I'll unveil the hidden side of this world to you, little by little." "Hello, 001. I'm sorry. But what is the number for mental hospital? I believe I found a runaway patient." "I do love the way you bullshit." "Li Ming, I know you're watching live stream. Go buy some supper for me. Fried noodles, no chili, thanks." Fusan Mental Hospital Room 31 subbing to the host, in support of our friend finding a new job. Several notices appeared on screen, and all of them showed disbelief at Chen Ge's promise. The man wasn't fazed. "I don't mind if you think I'm crazy because you'll soon see how wrong you all are." The viewership continued to climb. Chen Ge turned to look at the night sky that was darkening. He lit a cigarette and started explaining the bloody history of Fuan Apartments to his viewers. Chapter 20. Crime Scene. A mysterious fire, a disappeared killer, Chen Ge realized he had a talent for storytelling. He managed to summarize the many news articles he had read and combine them with his own hypotheses, creating a believable and intriguing tale for his viewers. "That is what has happened. To search for inspiration for my haunted house, I decided to stay overnight at this cursed apartment. But I came across a startling discovery. Every single tenant of this apartment has something off about them, and I suspect that the murderer from years ago is masquerading as one of them." Chen Ge snuffed his cigarette off and turned to address the camera. "Interesting. So a real-life murder mystery. Anyone have a brilliant idea as to who the real killer is?" I'm a little green worm mocked. "Host, you sure know how to bullshit, but we're not that gullible. Zhujiang City's Fuan Apartments, I just looked it up on the internet. The host doesn't seem like he's lying." He-san showed some support. I believe the host. However, I'm a little green worm was not easily convinced. Even if the host isn't lying about the case, how do we know that he is currently at the cursed apartment? As he said earlier, the place was burned down. But take a good look at the room. The wall is clean and painted, and all the furniture looks usable, albeit a little bit old. Does this look like a cursed apartment to any of you? I won't lie to you guys about that. You want proof? Easy. Chen Ge moved the makeup counter away and pulled his penknife. He scratched away a small corner of the paint on the wall. The name of a building can be changed, and the place can be refurnished and repainted, but certain things cannot be removed or hidden. He removed the freshest layer of wall paint to reveal the brickwork underneath, which was charred black. This is evidence that this place was the crime scene of the fire. No. I'm interested in why you would bring a mallet and a knife to stay at a hostel. For self-defense? Death to All Man raised an obvious concern. Host is ruining the wall for no reason. 1 minute of silence for the poor landlord. How much did you pay for a room like this? It doesn't even have a television. Looking at the chat log, Chen Ge could not help but sigh. Guys, can you not focus on the irrelevant points? How about some respect? I'm putting my life on the line to do this live stream for you. Death to All Man donated $1. $1 donation as sign of respect. Chen Ge was helpless dealing with the online trolls, but at least they didn't leave him. Fine, let's get back to business. I've met 6 different individuals since I arrived at this apartment. The first person I met was a woman who might have a little mental problem. When I arrived, she smiled wickedly at me unprompted. This unhinged me slightly, but since I have had no further interaction with this woman, there's nothing else I can say. Chen Ge introduced all of the tenants to his viewers, and when he was done, he added his own analysis. In terms of motive, the landlord is definitely the most suspicious, but his movement speed is hindered due to his limp. So viewed from this perspective, the tattoo guy on first floor and the fat man on second floor have the greatest possibility of being the killer. Of course, one can't ignore the woman and the seemingly weak Wang Chi. Basically, you've come up with nothing, Death to All Man surmised. Based on your analysis, I've further suspicion that the real killer is the old man in the wheelchair. After all, he stood to gain the most from the fire. That might not be that implausible. After all, the old man might be incapacitated now, but that doesn't mean that he was the same 4 years ago. Furthermore, the crime we're talking about is a fire. That doesn't require physical prowess, so the old man is a valid suspect. Also, have you considered the possibility of the old man faking his disability? Oftentimes, the most unlikely one is the killer. Actually, I have more suspicion toward the woman on the first floor. She smiled at the host, meaning she wanted to communicate something to the host. Host, can you still remember the curve of the woman's lips and the degree to which her mouth was open when she smiled at you? I'll help you analyze it from the perspective of psychology. I can't. As the interest of the viewers rose, so did the popularity of his live stream. Chen Ge looked at the busy chat log and sighed internally. He thought to himself, these people are hopeless. Looks like I'll have to go out to look for more clues before I can come to any conclusion. He placed his phone before him, adding, I did try to look around the building before starting the live stream. I discovered while most of the apartment's first and second floor has been fixed up, parts of the third floor have been left as they were 4 years ago. In a little bit, I will go up to conduct a closer examination. Hopefully, we'll be able to come up with some useful clues. The place is kept like it was 4 years ago? That's kinda sick. The ghosts of the families have been lingering because the case hasn't been solved? Investigating a haunted apartment at night? The host sure is insane. Of course, the host is the operator of a haunted house after all. Let me tell you, last time a bunch of us visited his haunted house to demand reparation for his scary video, but we got our backsides handed to us instead. 2 of the bravest among our group went in. One came out crying inconsolably, and the other fainted on the spot. Wait, what happened to them? And what about those who are not as brave? Have you lost your mind? Do you think the rest of us entered his haunted house after we saw what happened? You're right. LOL, commented He-san. The chat had completely derailed, but Chen Ge didn't mind it that much. He pocketed his penknife and with one hand holding the phone, the other holding the mallet, he walked to his room door. Learning from his previous lesson, Chen Ge squatted down to look at the shadows underneath the door and confirmed that there was no one standing on the other side before lightly pushing the door open. After he closed and locked the door, Chen Ge yanked one of his hairs out to stick it into the keyhole. This way, if someone entered his room when he was not there, he would know because the hair would have been pushed further into the keyhole. After everything was prepared, Chen Ge walked to the stairwell. His steps were light to not activate the light on his phone guiding his every step. As he climbed up the stairs, the walls on each side became noticeably darker in color, and there was an indescribable smell in the air. When he reached the 3rd floor, Chen Ge turned on the flashlight function on his phone. He leaned against the wall and focused. When he first accidentally walked up to the 3rd floor, he had noticed a dark shadow flash before him. The shape of the shadow had looked like a human. Be it a ghost or a man, I have to be careful. The flashlight revealed to Chen Ge the crime scene from 4 years ago. Looking at the scratch marks that seemed to embed themselves into the wall, Chen Ge's grip around the mallet tightened. Ping An Apartments had a unique architectural style. It only had one staircase, and it was on the right side of the building, giving the impression that the corridor leading to the left side was suspiciously long. As he walked down the corridor, he felt a chilliness tingle his spine. Even with his back to the wall, Chen Ge felt weirdly exposed. If the starting point of the fire was the third floor, then all this wouldn't have been preserved, so the killer probably didn't come up to the third floor at the time. Chen Ge continued down the darkened corridor. The doors on his either side had been warped by fire, exposing singed and ruined rooms. Navigating the trash that littered the floor, Chen Ge scurried into the closest room that he could get into.